Sail with me on a deep blue ocean. Babe, let's ride it to the top and then come crashing. Time will tell. Time has told us we grow strong as we get older. Oh, hi. That's Jess. I know you. We have some questions.
We do?
No, we don't have questions.
We have no questions.
No, we have
Do you have questions? We have statements. 3 ways to improve your communication.
And stop arguing.
And bitching.
We were going to call it and quit whining like a little, but we didn't do that. We said stop arguing. So we're going to see if we can hold ourselves back from just destroying the
my
camera.
name's Jess.
And my name is
You know
Reed.
what? I just realized one of my lights wasn't on.
Oh, that's better.
Hey, look at that.
So
Hello,
let's try that again. Hi, my name's Jess.
And my name's Reed.
There we go.
No, I'm Jess.
And I'm Reed.
Finally.
And we've been married to each other for 16 years.
In March.
In March.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just call it 16 years. Close enough.
Right, you're rounding up.
Yeah,
At
just
this
rounding
point,
up.
you round up. Because
I'll just take that. I'll be like, I got this.
it's been
16
like
years.
less than 2 weeks. No, 3 weeks. Man.
Yeah.
It's been a
When
long
it gets
time.
about-
We also have
yeah.
5 kids, ages 9 to 19. So
Yeah.
that's wild.
And we know how that works.
Right. And so arguing is like real.
Yeah.
It happens.
So
And-
you're fighting and you're disagreeing and you're like not understanding each other. What do we call that?
Yeah,
Butting
yeah, yeah,
heads.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have had a lot less like knockdown drag out fights
Mhm.
than we did snippety bickering arguing.
It's called trying but not succeeding.
Right. And that little bickering, that is like the hardest and most damaging to me, because if it were really bad, I would have been just like, screw this. It's like not bad enough to really confront it, but not good enough to be happy. Like there's that horrible middle ground where you're just like, and
Right.
it's annoying. It's
I know,
shit.
even hearing that is annoying.
You're welcome. And so we like created like these ground rules that we have been using for, well, long over a decade in order to be able to communicate better, because like sometimes it's hard and there's no real rule book.
Yeah.
And so we're just really wanting to shortcut it for you and give you some ways to improve your communication, stop the yank,
Yeah.
and really just be able to work together.
So break it down, Jess.
Number 1.
Number
was
1 is
cool.
be agreeable.
Yeah. And you know who I learned this from? Good old Zig Ziglar. If any of
Zig
y'all
Ziglar.
have done sales.
And his redhead.
And right. Sales like 20 years ago. Zig Ziglar was a big name. Man, I don't even know if he's alive anymore.
Zig passed away. Zig
What if he's
so please
still
don't.
alive? Wouldn't you
I would-
feel like
I
a
would
big
feel
jerky
so
about
bad,
it?
and I want to meet him because if he's still
Right?
alive, I'd be
He
thank you.
changed
I'd
my
be saying,
life.
Thank you.
The number 1 rule in sales is always be agreeable. Agree with your client. Agree with your potential customer.
Yeah.
Agree with your partner. Even if you disagree, you're never going to make any progress by starting your statement or rebuttal with no. Or, I don't think so.
Right.
Like, you have to start by being agreeable. I completely understand what you're saying.
Yep, I agree.
Right.
Wow, can you tell me more about that? I don't understand the perspective. Can you like explain it? Oh, this is my favorite. Can you explain it again in a different way so I can understand?
Right.
That we've had that's a key phrase in our relationship, because sometimes he'll say something and I don't get it. And so immediately I'm like, you don't make any damn sense. When in reality, that's what I used to do. In reality, now I'm like, I don't understand you. Can you rephrase it?
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you start out with the argumentative,
Right.
that conversation is
Yeah.
destined to fail.
Yeah.
So you have to be agreeable and really seek to understand each other.
We've actually addressed that in our training and we've also like brought that up in a lot of our other stuff, where it's like if you think that you're going to be able to talk the person in any tone of voice you wish and also get results, it doesn't work. If you're just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right?
It doesn't really come across as well as actually just having some tact. So
Right. Yeah, tact is important too. Your tone of voice, your body language, like how you're presenting. But really, if you're going to start every statement with a rebuttal, it's not going to turn
Not
out
gonna get
well.
anywhere.
So you have to learn to be agreeable. That's point
Yeah.
number one. Number two.
Number 2. Woo-hoo.
Past problems don't solve current conflict.
Sure, I thought they did before. I tried it. Have you tried that?
I think everybody's
If I
tried
just bring
that.
up the right facts about what they did in the past, we're going to solve this here and now. I'm going to prove that I'm right. And then when I do, you've been there. You still don't feel like you're right.
Right.
Feel like you've done yourself in. You took it too far.
Right? So it's really simple. What's happened in the past is in the past. It's not going to solve the current problem. Leave it out. Move on. If they've apologized, like, especially leave it there. Like, do not drudge up the past to solve the current problem.
Right. Doesn't work.
That's simple.
Yeah. Try it.
Only solve one issue at a time.
Yeah.
One problem, solve one at a time. The current one, not all the other ones. It'll make your conversation really productive. You have a distinct point. It's like going into a meeting.
Right.
Like when you're arguing, it's like going into a meeting. You have one point of the meeting. You need to execute on that one point. That's it.
That's it.
You have one problem. Figure out what that problem is. Solve that problem. Don't bring the past into it. Be agreeable. It makes it so much easier.
Yes. And now we're at point number 3.
3. Oh, and this is a doozy.
You ready?
You earn the right to give advice.
Hold on. Slow
Hold
that
on.
down. You earn the right. Like when you go
Right.
out and you get something and you work for it,
Oh, right.
you earn the
it.
right to give advice.
So when you were newly married or when you first had a baby, everybody tells you how to live your life.
Right.
Everybody does. And
Yeah.
what does that make you do?
Makes me do this.
Right.
I already
you get
felt it
pissed
coming.
off,
Did you see
right?
that? I was just like,
Right.
I felt like somebody's gonna like give me some advice here.
Unsolicited advice sucks.
Right.
We're here giving you advice right now because you're watching the video. That gives us permission to give advice.
Right.
If you don't want to hear what I have to say, you just leave.
Yeah, and by the
Right.
way,
Thank you for being here, though.
thank you for being here and having the guts
Right.
to actually be like, how do I improve my communication? Because that's a very proactive approach. A lot of people are
Yeah.
like, how do I make the pain stop? How do I tell him that I
Right.
don't have feelings for him anymore, before they actually think about how do
Right.
I actually just communicate?
So,
how do I stop
great
this
job
arguing?
being here.
Great
You
job.
can do this.
Yes.
And when you understand this is fundamental for everything that I do, every relationship, not just my marriage, but also my relationship with my children, both who are children and adult, especially adult children. Oh my gosh. It's awful when it comes to adult children. Parents just nag their kids to death. We earn the right to give advice. What this means is, most of the time when someone's talking to you, they're just like venting. They're processing, they're venting, they're talking, they're just chatting. They don't care what you have to say. They don't want your opinion. They just want someone to talk to.
There's that whole saying, if you don't know that the person cares,
right.
then their opinion just doesn't matter to you.
Right, like I walk in
weird.
from a bad shopping trip. Some guy was a jerky head or something, and I come in and I'm like, and Reed starts telling me what I should do. I'm
Perfect timing.
like, no.
Perfect.
It
timing,
just
Reed.
let me vent.
Yeah.
So the concept is we earn the right to give advice. You'll know when the person asks your opinion.
Wow.
Right.
That takes a lot of listening, doesn't it?
It does.
Wow.
It's crazy. You have to actually listen for the cues. When they say something like, what would you do? How would you handle this? Those are good cues that say, now you've earned the right to give advice. But when we give unsolicited advice, nobody wants to hear that shit.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't. And it makes you automatically rebel. So even if the advice was good advice, even if you're saying the right thing, even if you know the perfect answer and they don't ask for it,
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to, and it's in every conversation.
Every conversation.
I might have earned the right at one point, but then I just needed a process. I didn't need his opinion. So every conversation, you earn the right. You have to listen for the clues that say, are they asking for my opinion? Can I share it now? Otherwise, it might just be most appropriate to just say, can I give you a hug? I'm sorry that happened to you. What would be the best way to help you right now?
Yeah.
Like, venting is real, and that's a huge perk of having a marriage, is that I have someone I can come and vent to.
Yeah.
And then it takes pressure off of him, because then he doesn't have to figure out how to solve my problems.
Yeah.
I don't need him to solve my problems. I can solve them just fine myself if I have someone to vent to.
And then, as a bonus,
There's a bonus.
I'm going to throw it in. It's a surprise bonus.
Okay,
for me.
surprise, it's not on the paper.
I used to struggle with this.
Did
and
you?
I still do. Giving advice. There was a time where I gave so much advice that I had to be like, how do I stop giving advice? Because I had so many answers. They were just right there. And then I realized Jess was right. I should probably listen. And I'm like, how in the world do I actually listen? And I came up with this way that really helped me. And it was figure out how much time you're actually listening. I actually set a timer to see how long I was listening to Jess. And when I got up to like 10 minutes,
Impatient much?
at 10 minutes, she started to transform. And it was because she had the ability to completely express herself. And the funny thing was,
And it only took 10 minutes.
it only took 10 minutes. And that was in the most difficult situations where I was like, she's already frustrated at me. She's not going to listen to me anyway, even if I do talk to her when we're done. And when it came down to it, when I kept practicing that, you'd vent for like 2 minutes and be like, I'm good now.
Yeah. It's because when you feel like you have someone who listens, and then you feel like that, and then they actually listen, it takes less and less time to process because you trust that it's not going to turn into a big argument. Like, you just need to let it out. Yeah. Although, here's a bonus for the bonus.
Oh,
when we first started,
it's a Jess bonus for the bonus! Woo!
When we first started practicing within our communication, we couldn't tell if we needed help or if we just needed to vent. Right. And so one of the things, I totally forgot about this. We did this years ago and it worked so well. We would start a conversation. I would be like, I'd bust into the room. And I'd be like, Reed, I need to solve a problem. Or, Reed, I need to vent for a minute. And so I would start the conversation with my actual need, because then when he heard the need, he knew how to respond. Mm-hmm. But when I bust in and I'm like, I have a problem to solve, you have to listen to the entire problem before you can give advice. Because it's like going to the doctor. If you go to the doctor and they see you for 15 seconds and they're like, here, take this. It's like, you don't even know what's wrong with me.
Right.
Like, why are you prescribing something and you haven't even listened? Mm-hmm. So if you're going to solve a problem together, you have to get to the bottom of it before you give advice, which comes back to point number 3, where you earn the right to give advice.
Absolutely.
Look at that, full circle.
I love how that just came all the way back full circle. It's a way of being, damn it.
Right, and it works with everything. You want better sales in your business? Be agreeable. You want a better marriage? Be agreeable. You want your kids and you to actually be able to work together and see eye to eye? Be agreeable. Like, you want better partnerships? You want better friendships? Be agreeable.
I agree.
Like, it's not just marriage, but marriage is really important.
Yeah.
And so
Because you're not going to convince anyone. Be agreeable.
Be agreeable.
And then we saw number two, and that was past problems don't solve current conflict. You know what? That applies to everything. That applies to you personally, because
right.
every time I've tried to accomplish something and do it based on my past, I never get anywhere.
Right.
And it's because my past isn't good enough. It honestly is not good enough. We need to evolve. We need to grow.
Yep.
And then we had number three.
Earn the right to give advice. You have to earn it.
You have to earn it.
And then we had all kinds of cool bonuses because they were just random and there. And it's awesome. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Actually, drop us a comment. We want to hear.
Smash that bell.
Smash the bell.
Oh.
Smash the bell. We want to hear how this helps you or questions you have. Drop us a comment. We love our people. Thank you.
Thank
we love
you.
y'all. Have
See
a
you
good
next
day.
time.